When sadness comes to your door, do you let it in or do you push it away? Welcome to Ask Sean, where I explore all sorts of questions about being human and invite you, the listener, to become more present to yourself, your relationships, and your life. I'm Sean Slevin, licensed professional counselor and a licensed marriage and family therapist. And if you have a question for me, I would love to hear it. You can send that to me anonymously at asksean.org. So last night, I had a surprising experience. I was feeling some sadness bubble up, and I've done enough difficult work with myself over the years, had enough therapy that I knew it wasn't a good idea to push this away. It's just going to make things more difficult for me later on. But I didn't know, like, where is this coming from? Why am I sad? Like, why do I feel like crying? And but I just kind of opened myself to it, invited it to start coming up. And what was really interesting is I ended up doing some really deep grieving about something from over a decade ago. Like I really had no idea that I still had this much grief about this particular thing. Like I thought that it was something that I had worked through and that I was done. I was done with, which is part of why I wanted to do this video, because it's this kind of thing is something that I hear all the time from clients and from friends. Well, couple of facets. I mean, one is, folks will be they'll be like, well, I don't understand where this is coming from, and so there's an inclination to push grief away because, like, I don't understand the origins. Uh, but there's also this, like, there can be this upsetness with oneself, like, well, I shouldn't be sad about this. Like, that was so long ago, that was in childhood, or that was, decades ago, or whatever, right? Uh, and the thing is, there's no statute of limitations on grief. Like, grief, it keeps coming until it's done, until we've done what we needed to do, until we felt what needed to be felt. And so last night, I mean, I was sobbing. I was sobbing, and I found myself saying things related to this particular loss, this particular bit of my history that I didn't know I needed to say. Like words were coming out of my mouth, and then as I'd say the words, I would go into an even deeper layer of grief. And so, it was hard, right? It's painful to feel pain, but it was also so healing. Like, it was really cleansing, because I didn't know that I had some unfinished stuff there, some things that I hadn't owned, I had not faced, some subtleties, some nuances. And there was real pain there that I've been carrying, and that now I'm not carrying so much of. I suspect now there's actually still a bit more that I need to do with that particular event. I cried for a good bit last night, and kind of sort of moved through it, came to sort of the wave kind of passed, right? But there was also a sense of, like, there might be still some more here. I should probably intentionally circle back to this here soon, and try to just, yeah, see if there's anything else I can access. Uh, but um, but yeah, I wanted to do this video to share about this, because I guess partly to normalize, that, like, grief is not convenient. And there's no time limits on it, and we don't have to understand all of it. Understanding actually isn't the most important thing. I was talking with a client this morning, about some of their struggles with embracing their grief, and moving through it. And I was like, if a child showed up at your doorstep, with, like, no shoes and, like, looking hungry, like, your first thing you're going to do is you're going to take care of that child. You'll have questions later about, like, oh, sweetie, what's your name, and where are you from, and what's happened, right? But first thing is, let's come in out of the cold, like, let's get some shoes on you, let's clean you up, let's get some food in you, like, tend to the essentials first, like, and the understanding actually isn't essential. Like, we don't actually need to know the details in order to welcome grief in. uh, if whatever details we do need to know will come if we are hospitable, right? Like the way things unfolded for me last night is I started in total darkness of like, I don't know what I'm feeling. I feel really emotional. What's going on here, right? Like, there's nothing in particular about my day that like, and I still don't actually know even why. Why was it last night? Why last night did this, this deep sadness about some particular things from over a decade ago? Why then? I don't know. I may never know, like if I could, thoroughly delve into my unconscious, I could probably like see like sort of the sequence of things of how stuff was like, kind of relating and building such that my psyche's like, "Oh, this is the time. We're going to do some more work with this." But I don't actually need to know that. Like that's not essential. I did need to like as I entered into the grief, then it became clear to me, "Oh, I'm sad about this." And oh, and there's this facet of this that I didn't even know I was in there. Like and I need to say that and I need to name that and I need to be honest. I think that's part of the thing about grief. There's this honesty that we're being invited into. This courageous honesty. And that was part of what, like, there was something I had not been fully honest with myself about how something hurt. I had felt a lot of pain, done a lot of work with this thing from um, what feels like a lifetime ago. Um, but there were some I can see now after having done the work that I did last night that there were some facets of it that I wasn't ready to own. I wasn't ready to feel. And so I had done what I could do, many years ago, right? But yeah, apparently it wasn't until last night that it's like, oh, and now we can do some more. Now we can bear to be more honest about what happened, how we were hurt, what we lost, how we feel about all of that. Pardon me. So, yeah, we're such a culture that we think that the answer to a good life is to keep your door locked to grief. That if it comes around knocking to like, don't open the door, turn out the lights, hide in the closet, right? But that's very limiting. That's no way to live a life, right? And you just end up locking up lots of energy. You end up kind of emotionally constipated. So this is something I've said before. I don't know if I've said that on here in the videos or not, but that's a phrase that I either heard or that came to me a long time ago. But um, having said all this, like I could do what I did last night because I have done a lot of work and I have received a lot of care. And so like even though it was really painful and it was revisiting something incredibly painful, I didn't feel alone in it. Like I felt myself with me, I felt God with me, I felt the various counselors I've worked with, I felt my friends, and it wasn't even actually that I needed to consciously think of them. I've received enough care. I've been able to take in enough care. I've practiced taking in, receiving nourishment such that I knew I could do this, and it was hard, and it's like, I'm sobbing and my body's shaking and I'm just going through these waves of sorrow that I didn't know were still there. Like none of it felt traumatic, right? So this is a really key thing. Part of why we tend to push our sadness away is because in the original experiences where we couldn't fully feel it, we didn't have enough of what we needed. And so that left us with this sense of this is unbearable. And there might be ways in which in the present we still haven't actually built up some of the muscles we need, and we haven't reached out to the people in our life that we could reach out to, whether it's friends, family, helpers of various kind, counselors, whatever. Um, we haven't established those relationships or let those people be with us, and so there is this like sense of like I can't do this because we can't do it alone, right? And what I did last night, I didn't do alone because that experience last night was built on so many experiences of like letting people be with me and accompany me on really difficult work. I've had numerous people in my life who have borne witness to my sorrow, to my pain, to my loss, to my struggles. And so it's deeply embedded in me now that like I am not alone. Like I will never be alone. Which doesn't mean I don't feel lonely at times. Like I'm still capable of feeling that, right? But I've internalized such a sense of being cared for. And that's been a long, difficult work. Like that didn't just happen. It wasn't easy, right? I mean, that could be its own video, right? Of like the work involved to like take in the good and receive it and hold on to it, right? Because it doesn't just happen automatically. We have this fantasy, and actually, it's very common in the counseling field to think like, oh, if we just provide care for people, if we just love people, then they'll get better. And that's partly true. Like there are ways in which people are ready to receive, and we are ready to receive nourishment and take it in. But we all have ways that we block nourishment. We all have ways that we block love. We don't actually let it in. And so I've done enough work with that I now have an internal sense of like, oh, I am loved and there are people are with me. And so I could enter into this sorrow last night, this deep, deep grief. And I could do that in a way where I felt very grounded, very connected, very loved, very a sense of withness that, people are with me, that God is with me. And so that gave me courage to just to not have all this friction and resistance of like, I don't want to feel this, I can't feel this, push it away. Let's go get busy. Let's get on the internet and, you know, browse Reddit or Instagram or whatever, right? Like I was like, no, I just need to feel this. And then because I opened the door and said, come in a sense, it was like, oh, there's a lot more here that I had no freaking clue. And that's another thing I guess I want to normalize, right? Like I'm somebody who does a ton of work on myself, and I'm deeply intuitive, and I have gone inward a lot, and I'm really gifted for it. I'm built for it. I would be on a continuum. I would be more in kind of on the tails, right? I would be more exceptional or whatever. That's not a brag. That's just an observation, right? And so even for me, I have these places where I'm totally surprised, right? And so, for the average person, kind of more normal person, like, of course you're gonna like be sideswiped or whatever by your grief, like of course it's gonna catch you off guard, like like it does. No matter how much we know ourselves, there's always more we don't know, right? Like it doesn't matter how much work you've done, um, how hard you try to be welcoming to these places, right? Like there's always going to be the potential like, oh, here's some more that I had no clue was there. Was not on my radar, was not a thing I've been thinking about, was not something that's been coming up in therapy. Like, I mean, it's kind of hilarious in that respect. It's just like, oh, I've been working on other things. I did not know like this was on the agenda for this week. Like, if you'd asked me like, oh, what are some of the things you're working on and what stuff are what are some of my growing edges? Like I could have told you about a number of things that I've been doing some great work with, and some of it pretty difficult. But this wouldn't have been on the list. Like, not on my radar. And yet, whew, there was some intense grief that I did last night with it, right? Some intense work that was really healing, and like, yeah, I could really feel how it's cleared out some stuff in me. And like I said, I feel the inkling that like, oh, I think there might be a little bit more, and I want to come back to that. I want to make sure that I don't leave anything behind, leave anything unfinished, right? So yeah, like it's okay that we get surprised, and it's okay that we don't know why now, right? Like I think we get obsessed with the why now because again we so foolishly, honestly. I don't say it to pick on any of us, but just it is it's foolish, it's childish. We foolishly think like that. Um, oh well, if I could just know why, then I can prevent it. But here's the thing: don't prevent your grief. That is a one-way ticket to misery. Like, grief is the medicine. Grief is the way in which we heal. If you don't grieve, you are condemning yourself to a private hell. Like, you're condemning yourself to stay stuck. Like, that is a terrible thing to do to yourself. So I know it's painful, it's scary. We need people with us, right? Like, we cannot do this alone. But like do not reject your grief. Do not see that as the goal. If you make the avoidance of grief your goal, you're committing to a life of misery. Like, you will never be happy. Like, and it will just get worse and worse. Whereas if you can be courageous and you seek out people to walk with you, right? If you can commit to, like, I'm going to try to keep moving towards my grief, even though it's scary, even though it feels overwhelming, like, that is the only way that we are going to have any chance at some peace, at some joy, at some happiness. Like, grief is the medicine. Grief is the way in which we are healed. And grief, honestly, is the way in which the world will be healed. Like, the world is fucked up in the ways that it is because of the avoidance of grief. That is one of the fundamental reasons. All sorts of injustices that get perpetuated, like all the ways that people do harm to themselves and each other. So much of that. I'm not saying there aren't other factors. There's plenty of other factors, but this is one of the core things, one of the core human ways in which we make life awful, is that we avoid our grief, we avoid sorrow. Because by when we enter into sorrow and grief, when we yield to that and move through that, and particularly when we can have people with us, right, helping us bear it, like, it's, even though it's painful, it's like ointment in a wound, right? Like, yes, it stings. Yes, it can feel really unbearable at first, but it's also what helps the tissue heal. It's what helps things actually, like, move towards health, as opposed to festering and becoming infected and, like, just moving towards death. So yeah, like, we've got to grow in, like, accepting that we're not going to have answers, that we're not going to know why, and that it's going to be freaking inconvenient. And yes, it's a lot. Like, that wasn't how I was planning to spend my evening, but, like, thank goodness I did. Like, like, I'm having such a better day today than I would have had if I had, like, avoided all that. Like, and all that then is churning in me in the background, and I'm trying to keep it at bay. The scary boogie monster in the closet. Like, that's not the way to live, right? Like, you really want to spend your whole life spending most of your energy trying to keep things away that, if you would just face them, not that the just is easy, but if you would faithfully move through, facing them, like, would gradually, little by little, get better. And look, each of us have different journeys and different burdens we carry. So it's like, I'm not presuming that. I mean, for some of us, the cards we've been dealt, like, the getting better is going to be very tiny increments. And so maybe it's never going to be amazing. I don't know. I can't predict a given person's journey. But I know that it's still better to move towards this direction than not, right? So even if you're somebody who has a particularly heavy plate of, really, really hard stuff, and where it's like, it's maybe it's never going to be, life is never going to be amazing for you, or whatever. No matter how much you grieve, it's still going to be better for you to do the work of grief than to avoid it. Like, to avoid it is, I guarantee you, it's only going to make you more miserable. um, and I should also clarify here, I don't mean wallow in our grief either. Like, that's another thing. Like, um that would, this is getting into so many things that could be additional videos, but I just want to at least name that. Like, grieving is not wallowing. It's an honesty. It's a feeling it, and a moving through it. It's not getting stuck there, right? That doesn't mean we don't have to spend time in it. It doesn't mean there's not repetition, right? Like I said, I needed to come back to a thing from, like, over a decade ago. Had no clue that I needed to do that, but it was really important, and I probably need to do some more. It feels like. Um, but I'm not wallowing it. I'm not. Oh, yeah. I need to think more about how to delineate that. Um, the goal is not to get stuck in it. The goal is not to get overwhelmed, or to just sort of perpetually circle the drain or whatever. The goal is to, I don't know, I think about it like surfing. Like the goal is to ride the wave, get as wet as we need to, and come into shore, you know? And, you know, the thing about waves is there's always another wave, right? But there's also times of calm, you know? There's space in between the waves. And so I want to, when the wave comes, I want to ride it well, you know? I want to move with it. I don't want to fight it. That's just going to make it worse. I want to move with it. But yeah, I'm not trying to drown, you know, like I'm not trying to become shark food. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's lots more to say there uh, about that difference between a healthy grieving and a wallowing. But yeah, just wanted to name that. Um, so yeah, you know, the invitation and challenge to you is, yeah, pay attention to when grief is knocking at your door, and maybe try to open the door, let it in, invite it in. Um, you know, get your tissues. You know, ask somebody to be with you, and see what it has for you. What is it inviting you to be with? See if you can learn to love it instead of hating it. Grief really is your friend. It's not your enemy. I know it can feel like it, but if you can bear to feel it, if you can bear to be faithful with it, pardon me, uh, the rewards are worth it. They're better than the alternative, that's for sure. Uh, yeah. So I hope this is helpful to any of you that have chosen to watch. Uh, if this brings up, you know, kind of additional questions, things you want clarity on, or total tangents of other things, you know, certainly would love to hear those. You can send those to me anonymously at asksean.org. And also, if, you know, as you've been watching this, people are coming to mind that you're, you know, friends, family, coworkers. But yeah, if people are coming to mind that you think this might be something they need to hear, that might be helpful to them, please share it with them, right? Uh, you know, don't send it to people you don't think are, you know, don't spam people, right? You know, like, um, but you know, send it to people that you genuinely think this could be a gift to them. It would be a helpful invitation, you know. Uh, so yeah, well, until next time, peace be with you.